Test. Hey folks, doing a sound check. Let me know you're hearing me all right. All right, it'll take a few minutes. I'm going to let the room fill up a little bit, folks. Getting some jet fuel. A lot of talk about today. If you're on my Twitter account, you saw I just tweeted hard to trade with this going on. It was a picture of Trump in front of a screen with a buy sell in his Twitter account. Yeah, we're going to get a couple minute late start here. I'm just setting up the last couple things here to get ready for the show. So thanks for coming, everyone. Welcome everyone. It is Wednesday, 1:30 New York time or thereabouts, and a lot going on. I saw some comments. I made a comment a few minutes ago that it's hard to trade when you get Trump tweeting every 5 minutes. Like the guy, hate the guy, whatever. He's good with Twitter, man. He's like the conductor in the orchestra, just leading the way. All you have to do is make a comment about doing a deal in airlines, and everybody knows we need that. And it's fascinating to watch. What a world we live in. I guess someday we'll be talking about the world post-COVID, right? That'll be certainly, we hope so, right? So yeah, so a lot to talk about today. I was talking and just a couple cleanup things. I do need, if you're a WaveTech user and a Market Grid user, there's some kind of error that happened, and last night I was just trying to rerun it and I'm getting an error. So problem with new products. It's a bug. I'll have it fixed by morning. I apologize for that. I guess some columns got out of whack with the symbols, prices not making sense. So yeah, anyway, we're trading on the highs here on the S&P. Yeah. And trying to punch them out. I don't know if we're going to take out yesterday's high or not. We'll go through all the details here in a minute. I talked a lot about last night, a couple of times actually, about this this outside reversal 3-day bar. I also realized when I was doing the NASDAQ section last night that with the PPMs turning up, it looked like it was going to be a low probability sale. The S&P came in around, I think it was around 84, 85. So if you waited a few minutes, maybe you got a little better price if you did that trade. But right now, underwater by a little bit. We'll see how all this plays out. Hopefully, we'll have some exciting market moves. This is good. Volatility's kicked up. Last Wednesday, it was just epic, I thought, as far as some of the big sell-off we got into, and then we're able to find a really cool NASDAQ trade there. So hopefully we'll get into some stuff today. So you folks are my eyeballs. I'm going to be focusing on what's going on here between my two monitors. The camera's actually between the two monitors, and I'll be, so if you see anything, I'm glancing at the line. I'll try to keep track of everything, but if you see anything interesting going on or breaking news, let me know that's going on too, so I can focus on doing analysis and all that. Let's go over to the chart. I guess everybody's loving the new colors in the charts. They're easier to see, all that stuff. I can't even hardly look at a white chart anymore. And everything else I do, interesting enough, is dark background. Anyway, so I do have a open, high, low, close bar chart on this chart right now. I still like the bars. I'll flop it over to the candlesticks from time to time, but for me, the bars, I can just see where the market is. It's the candlesticks are all great for patterns and trying to do that stuff if you're into that. But for me, just an old school guy and all that stuff happening. So we're looking at PPMs here on this page. PPM 1, 2, these things are just skyrocketing. So I saw a comment early on, look at some of the pre-show comments, and somebody was asking, does this negate the pattern? And so far, no. We got to take out yesterday's high, and this is still somewhat in the context of the somewhat in the context, sorry, I'm getting messages, so people can let me know what's going on. But somewhat in the context of the RXT sell that we got the other day. Let me just point that out real quick, and we'll get into full range of stuff here in a few minutes. But right here, this was the RXT sell. This was day before yesterday. We got the reversal pattern, and now we're back up, and I'll bring up the numbers here in a minute. But we're right up to almost the the RXT number. RXT on the is actually right. Let's see here. I'm just trying. I've got the wrong day up, so I will bring that up here in a minute. I've got grid on the other side. But anyway, these PPMs are 0.52. They've turned up. So there was no expectation for a real big decline here, but a continuation of the sideways pattern. So it looks like we're getting this. You know, it's really tough right now to see how this thing's going to finish up. We're looking at 3409.77. We just printed a new high on the session. Let me take these, but we should stay within the grid over the next day or so. So whether this negates the pattern or not, we'll have to see. But the PPMs are all turning up. And I mentioned and I'll bring up the WaveTech database here in a minute, but our short-term database got a monster amount of buy signals. In fact, we've had 7,700 buy signals in the last 2 sessions. So we're seeing some short-term turnaround. I mentioned briefly, but no one actually hears what I say sometimes, is that there's a story, there's a potential bottoming and short-term uptrend story emerging from the database, and it's not quite there yet, but there's certainly signs of that happening right now. So let me get the right numbers up here and bring them on screen so we can all see them. So RXT 15, 34.15. This was the same Fibonacci range that I talked about in, I think, Monday's video, where I went through all the details there. But we're looking at right now, yeah, open was 84.56. Right now, high 34.10.09. So we're still punching out the highs as we speak. So the algos are picking up on this airline story. I mean, this is full machine action here, and we'll dig into some of that as we get going. Yeah, somebody's asking, am I using Portfolio Expert right now? Actually, this is TradeStation right now, but it has all of the WaveTech models and processes in there, all the PPM ones. And as I told everybody on the WaveTech meeting, we are tomorrow working on the getting everything up on the App Store. So what you see on this screen right now, you'll be able to get my TSWs, all the indicators. There's a whole suite of indicators that we're going to be putting out on TradeStation, which will be all the PPMs. In fact, right now I've introduced a new PPM, which is PPM 200, which is basically tracking the rate of change and first-second derivative on the 200 period moving average. And anyway, we'll do a special show when we get the TradeStation stuff done, and so that you can start to get this. But all the screens that I use every day on my videos, all that stuff will be available. The cool thing about TradeStation App Store, they give you the ability to give everybody everything. Matter of fact, they require that you put your TSWs and the setup so people can use it. You can use the PPMs and do all the functionality. Yeah, so yeah, I addressed this earlier that we know there's an issue with the market grid, and I'm not sure what happened. I'm researching it right now. I'm trying to figure out which part of the process messed up. I don't know if it was the HTML didn't map out right. Something happened. Tried to regenerate it before the show. It's just there's still an error coming up, and I will figure this out here by the time we post this afternoon. So I really apologize for that. Yeah, so just a continuation, the TradeStation App Store stuff. Hopefully, I don't know how long it takes them once we upload to approve it. But we had some internal issues with some things that we had to work through to get this stuff out here. But I'm excited about that. Been wanting to do that. I am a TradeStation user since 1992, and have matter of fact, there's some user studies still in trade station that I developed back in the early 90s. And so they're embedded forever. They don't have my name on them, but they're mine. Anyway, yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff that we'll be able to deliver to you. Here we are at 13. We're coming up to this RXT number here, and you see on the screen 3415.86 is the extreme projected on the S&P right now. We're trading 1373. 1476 is print high. So what you do here, this is our moment maybe. Let me flop over to the I'm going to stay on the cash here. Matter of fact, let's go to let's just do a 1 minute cash. Okay. So what we're going to watch for here, this is a 1 minute graph for the cash S&P. You can see that surge, they just surged it. That's all machine buying. When you see something like this and you see a nice trend and then it spikes out of here, so the machines jack this thing up. A little bit of short covering. Here we are printing, right at the RXT number, and that number is going to whether we get through it or not. But what we want to watch for here is some sort of reversal off these kind of numbers when we get to an RXT. Markets like this feel like they're going to the moon. They're going to go up forever. They're probably not. Maybe we can figure out a trade here. PPMs, this is a 1 minute S&P cash, since we're looking at the RXT on the cash. Let me switch over for just a second. I want to see what the numbers look like on the futures. Have a bit of a different number. Let me flop over to the daily. I just want to see what, yeah, so let's take a look at this. Let's use the futures since we can trade that. The RXT on the futures is 3426.75. So we're trading right now high 406. Here we are at R3 on the futures. So this is a number we're going to watch here. The high so far 06, R3's 409.50. So I just wanted to make sure we had reference to that page. All right. Yeah, so what happens with the RXT number, there's a signal off there, and it's has a really high, it has a really high percentage of being right, which is it closes above the RXT number. You can see where my cursor is right here on this bar here. We got to close on September 2nd, which was the day before that big decline started. And they're just very accurate. There's another one here just barely, and we go sideways. The signal is sideways to down. Usually we'll trade back to the bottom end of the range. But if we were to bring up the daily cash, we would see we got that yesterday, and we actually traded down to the bottom end of the range yesterday. So you could argue that that trade was over. Now we're still in the context here. So we're printing up here. I said we're looking at daily E-minis here. So far, high 06.25, and the RXT number is 34.26, but we're watching R3 right now for some sort of reversal. And like I said, the algos definitely jacked this thing up here just a few minutes ago. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Will the machine sell off today? That's very unpredictable. It depends on what kind of order flow comes in, and we're going to be here until the close, so we should be able to actually watch a lot of that stuff. So I'll be talking about that as we go through the session. Now, a little bit, this show is starting off a little bit different than what we have been talking about, but let's dig in. I'm going to go to cash. So we'll watch this number. Excuse me. we'll watch this number, this 0950 on the futures. And that is right there, just printed a new high by a quarter. We printed 75, but we'll keep an eye on that. And of course, RXT is 34.26. Yesterday's high on the futures was 34.21. So if we did hit 26, that would be a new high in this pattern. So we're definitely getting the volatility to kick up, which I expected to happen. So let's see what this thing plays out here. We'll keep an eye on it. So let's go and let me try to get into a flow of some of the things I like to talk about when we do this show every week, is really start to unpack and talk about the configuration that's happening. I want to go dive in a little deep. So if, like I said, just watch for a reversal. You guys are my eyes, and right now, as far as watching some other things, so I can just focus on the analysis here. And the interesting thing about this analysis, as we're looking at it now, is this pattern. It's definitely corrective. We're starting to get some really PPM1 is at a 0.54. That's trend mode, and that tells us that the 10-period moving average right now has less than a 30% probability to trade below that. That's 33.51. So we're not going to see any prices under that, at least not for the moment. And so on the cash here, the RXT, we just took out RXT on the cash. Let me bring this over. There's so much going on here. RXT 34.15. 34.15.86, high 34.17.55. So this thing is definitely taking out RXT. We're still seeing some prints up. Let me just bring this up so we can see. I want to see where the futures are. 08. So we're getting close to the. We're getting close to that R3. Let's see if we print 08.50. So we're basically one handle off of the 409.50. So this is going to be a critical level here. We're still printing up. So the machines are running full time. I'm going to bounce around a little bit here. You can see what's going on here. When you see these out of sequence trades, these are definitely machine action. We'll see what we see here for a second. Sorry, there it goes, below bid. When you see above ask, below bid, those are actually machine. You can see this thing just jacked up. And this chart that I have on here, all these lines, these are linear regression lines. These are what I call the WaveTech webs. And whenever the web gets into a rope like this, you never sell a rope. What you want to see is a volatility expansion. You want to see this thing set up here. So I'll be keeping a close eye on this as far as everything goes. All right, let's try it. I'm really going to try to get focused on this analysis here. So let's draw in a pattern that I've been talking about and see what we're going, because I know a lot of you have a question of some of the things I put out there. I've been talking about this ABC pattern. This is the A. Now we got AB here. I said we got a short. So far we have a short C wave. Expectation was for something like this to happen, right? And then we get this reversal day so far today. So that is becoming a bit of an issue, that maybe it's going to extend. And I talked about going to the 34, 35, 34.42 level. That is 0.618 retracement. So that's still possible. We're looking at futures. They have a little bit different numbers. Those are cash numbers. But so there's still some potential for this thing to throw in one more bar here or two. And that would make it a five-way pattern. So we get to come in till tomorrow and maybe extend this pattern. But regardless of what goes on, the only thing that's concerning as far as the corrective wave goes right now is how these PPMs are starting to react. I'm drawing them in right now. We're seeing when these things all get in sync like this, that's potentially a signal for something much bigger on the upside. And if we do hold these numbers today, I suspect that the WaveTech database is going to go from 27.5% bullish to maybe 35. Maybe it actually just hits that 42% level. But this is telling us the market's trying to make a turn. Whether it can or not will really determine by what happens with the rest of the session today. Let's take a look at the weekly real quick here. Weekly pattern still has some strong underlying trends here. We have a 0.46. We have 0.46 here on PPM1. You'll see it over here. 0.86 and 0.16, but they're also turning up. So this is just telling us that the underlying trend, and I've talked about this 10-period moving average, that number is 3364. So we're continuing to hover along that. There's a number of markets. Gold is trying to hover along its 10 here, and so my expectation still is to stay within this weekly grid number. That upper number is right now R3. It's unfortunate this tool will not let me come up with when we're here, but R3 is 3433 and RXT for the week is 3461, and this is on the futures. If we flash over to the daily here, the daily 3430 R3, 3456. We're looking at 3415. We printed 18 here, so we took out RXT on the daily basis I mentioned just a minute ago. So we're still looking for a potential reversal off of these prices. This range is where nobody wanted to own this. Of course, it had to do with the Twitter machine, Trump Twitter machine, and so we're just seeing this crazy volatility, and actually this is important. The only thing, like I said, is the daily PPMs are starting to turn up. There is some good, some positive signs going on there as far as that goes. I'm going to bring up something here. I want to show. Sorry about that. You don't need to see that. Second. Okay, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the WaveTech database, and let me show you what I was talking about and what's happening here. This database got down to 8% long, and now we're back at 27.6. If we look at the all stats page, you'll see that this rotation is starting to come up very quickly, And like I said, we're likely to see another big tranche. 2 days ago, we saw a huge tranche of orders. In fact, if you look at the last several days, we've had basically 18,000 rotation buys, and we've had about 1,300 sells. So the ratio here is all bullish over the last period of time. This actually goes back to 9/25, so a couple weeks. But the short-term rotation is just very bullish, and this is what happened last night. We got another 600. We had 7,200. Tonight is likely to be another big range as we go forward. So back to the patterns on the S&P. The S&P is starting to act like it's maybe trying to reverse here. Let's take a look over here. Let's go over to the level 2. Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to show you folks. As you get this rope, and then you start to get this broadening volatility band setting up. You see the orange lines are the market grid, the dots are the market grid on a 1-minute chart, and then these other lines are the linear regressions, or the wave tech, what I call the webs. And so this is going to be interesting. We'll watch this for keep an eye on this. Is that we could see what I call a diamond top here, and it's happening. The high so far has been 0875, and if you recall, the RXT number was 950, 0950. So we're starting to see the beginnings of a potential little short top here, and the key levels on the futures are going to be back down, just getting back around the 99.50 level was one of the lows that we printed. So you can see where this surge came from right here was at 99. Let's see here, 99.25. That's going to be your pivot point where the machines came in and really jacked this thing. But I think it's starting to act a little tired, and this is forming a potential wedge here. So the machines are still on, man. They're going to grind this thing out to see if they can get another level out of it, I'm sure. But these regression lines are getting, we're coming up to the top end right now. If I bring this is a 1-minute grid that we're looking at. So we're looking at 0850 is the RX here is now just updated 1025. So they're going to try to punch out the highs here. So let's see what we can do here. Let's watch this for a minute, just see what happens. This will be a critical test here. If they can't print above that 09, get above RXT, then this could be the point where PPMs have faded quite a bit here. This, like I said, this 1-minute graph. We're starting to get a reversal bar to set up here on a 1-minute chart. Funny, one of my old floor buddies used to say, if the trade doesn't scare you, it's no good. Okay? If you're afraid to do it, it's probably a good trade, is the inverse of that comment, right? So if it feels scary to sell here, that's probably the right thing to do. And it does feel scary. Yeah, I talked a little bit, I think, the other day on the Wave Tech training session about understanding your emotions and feelings. And most of you guys and gals, are what I call discretionary traders. And it's important, and I talked about this the other day, I just want to segue while we're watching this market here for a minute, is you have to really get a sense of your emotions. Feelings in your stomach are really important, at least for me they are. When I get that grinding, when it starts to get really tight and it feels scary and like, man, this thing's going to go. That's where I'm looking, push them out, sell them at that point, as you start to get that emotion feel. And I was talking about this the other day. When you get, one of the things you need to do, I'm going to kind of hammer on this for a while. It's kind of a new thread that has been coming out on my live streams, is that you need to journal around these things and talk about to yourself about the feelings you get and what happens after those feelings. So let's say you're going, I really feel like I should sell here, and I don't do anything, and it works, right? You write that down, feeling to sell, it didn't follow through, didn't work. And you start to see if those sense feelings, because what's happening sensory wise is that you're seeing all the things that are telling you that this is a top. And this is, for me, this is right where we're at right now. We're printing 05. We tried that high again. We got a reversal, 1 minute reversal. I know it's a 1 minute graph, but we got a 1 minute reversal. We're trading 05. Not like it's rolled over and it's done a big thing, but this is how it starts. They're still going to grind it within the grid right now, which right now RXT 08 to 04. So you got about a 4 handle grid on a 1 minute graph that you can move within that range. And so that's exactly what we want to watch for. But think about that, journal on your feelings and your trades and setups and everything. You'll start to figure out what's driving you. And discretionary trading is by far the hardest thing to do. And that's why I built quantitative models, and I have all types of other different processes around, because the only way to be disciplined, I said this the other day, is it's Webster's definition of discipline is to become submissive to a set of rules or a state of order to bring about a desired result. So you have to have everything thought through, and you have to think it through before the trade happens, because once you put money in the market, you are now subjective. Those feelings go to the next level, and it's very, very difficult, and it's very easy to make decisions and put stop placements, all kinds of errors that can happen at that point. Yeah, Scott, right on. Yeah, so we just printed down to the bottom of the grid on a 1 minute. So what we want to see here on this chart, we'll stay with this because this might end up to be a daily high trade that we can get off. We want to see these. Yeah, so the market grid, you can watch this live real time. I'm going to go off screen so you can get a full screen on this thing. So what you'll see is the market grid just stair stepping down right now. So it's leading it down. What we want to see is a spike down to the bottom right at the end of the 1 minute range, and then we'll see the grid start to respond. As I've told you, the market grid is a volatility based calculation, and it's based on a combination of 3 and 5 bars, and it's doing some Fibonacci projections. So this is perfect. So we're trading down. We're getting close to the end of the minute, and we're down at the bottom end of the grid. So we should see the grid actually start to flop down here. We're printing down 02, 50, 75s. There we go. Yeah, it kind of squared off. So this is we didn't get quite the downslope I was hoping for. So we got a flat line here. So now we're going to trade back toward the high end of this grid. And we're seeing also the linear regressions turn up, which tells us we could rally back into here, maybe 07, 08 again before we roll over. But this will be, if we get this turn up here, then we're going to probably see, like, I kind of have named these formation. This formation. Let me draw a couple things in here. Let's just do this because So what we're seeing here is this pattern. We're getting this pattern here. We're coming up toward the high. We might get another one here, but this pattern right here, I'll draw it in. This is what I call the dragon formation. And right here, that's my dragon, and I call it the spitting dragon. And a lot of times these things will just really plummet off of here. This one didn't. We just found some support, and the screen freezes when I use this tool, which I hate. But anyway, you can see what's setting up, but this is probably the further pattern that we have to go. So let's take this off so we can see it moving again. Okay, so we printed up, got a little bit of a reversal going again here. And what I want to see is that this grid will start to turn down. And when that happens, then we've got a pretty good chance at getting this thing to roll over here. So this is the grid. I want to see these actually start to do this. And well, we'll just see if the machines can hold this thing up at all right now. So right now you can see that the RXT 0775, that's what I was just talking about, could trade back to 07 or so. Are we going to be able to print through that 09, which is the RXT on the daily? It doesn't look like to me it will. The PPM down here below is starting to show some weakness. So we could see a rollover right here. We didn't even print. What did we get high on this? We got to, yeah, we did. We only printed 05 on that run. So we're starting to turn down. You see a tight, what I call a rope is going on here, and we're starting to see this thing roll here just a bit. And we'll stick with a bunch of this. We'll get into individual stock charts and going through things. And I'll go through all the things you guys want me to go through. But right now, let's just stick with this. Like I said, this is such at a critical level. It's a high of the day. It's also the R3 number on the daily was 09. The high so far 875. So this is worth spending some time. Yeah, so there's another formation that comes out of this when we don't get the big drop, is what I call the caterpillar, which is just sideways. But there's always a question when you're trading at high levels. Is this a consolidation or a distribution? The age-old question. No, exactly. You know, we're just watching this thing. I'm not sure that we're going to get a sell here. This thing can grind out. The machines are definitely in control. You can see how the level 2 is moving around with the bid ask. We've actually got pretty decent volume on the bid ask. This is not too bad. Here we go. Down at the bottom of the grid, we also saw something else that just happened. The grid did the volatility collapse. You can see that the space between the top and bottom have really got narrow. When that happens, that's a sign that we're about to roll over as well. So the rope is starting to form. We're going to need to print probably down to about 0275 to really get this thing going. So we'll see what kind of next update we have on the 1 minute grid. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate that, really. Yeah, Christoph, that's what the PPMs are telling us. They're trying to set up a range. So we haven't been able to roll this thing over yet. Here we are back at 06. We got a slight expansion, but we didn't get the downturn. So this is going to take a few more minutes, folks. Yeah, we'll go through Apple here shortly, Anvil. Yeah, no problem. And Neil, sorry. Yeah, we'll get all the individual stocks. Let's watch this trade for a few minutes. I want to see if we're going to set a high. This market's pretty emotional. You can feel the emotional tension in the markets, at least I can, watching this thing. So folks is it going to make a new high? Is it going to fail? So this is a really important moment in the day, I think, and it's worth spending a few more minutes to follow. Yeah, that's sad about Eddie Van Halen. Yeah. Yeah, we're stuck in this range. Looks like the Caterpillar, we're back at 06 again. So like I said, let's spend about another 5 minutes, see if we get anything out of it. Then we'll go back to doing some analytics. Here's 625's print. And you see the grid just expanded to the upside. Here we go to 7. So now it's stair-stepping up. Like I said earlier, the machines aren't going to let this thing go unless they can get a chance to unwind up here. And that's one of the things that will happen is there'll be a lot of grinding up here, which is this big surge that we see over here, which will disappear here shortly, back over at 10:45. That's my time, West Coast time. So 1:45, we got that big surge, and prices basically have been trading within that range of that surge, and we really haven't gotten above that. What was that? High was 0625. That's the top end. Here we are, 750s printing again. So they're going to try the highs one more time, it looks like. I would actually consider this a retest of the highs. So we'll see. The grid is actually telling us, if we look at it here, you'll see in this box over here, RXT 409.50, which would be a new high, and 850 R3, 8 even. We're printing 07s, so we're printing R1. Now we're back in 650. So here we go. Let's see here what the grid now is. RXT still 950, so we're maintaining that range. And this goes to what I was talking about earlier in this pattern. As you're just getting a zigzag. Let's see if we can, this is probably the top end. We should get another zigzag. We're going to set up, some sort of support down here at this low, and then the big support is at that 99.50 where this breakout happened, where the machines just surge this thing, and they're just grinding it right now. So we'll see how this all plays out here in a few minutes. Here we are, 775, 825. Going to try the highs again. 850, 75, new highs, 10 trades. So we just took out the RXT number. There's still a bid here. And if you watch the level 2 off to the left, you'll see the machines that they just kind of get into a frenzy. And the other thing that will happen, we'll print through the high like that, you get an immediate reversal. So, but all the grid is expanding to the upside. Also, the linear regression lines are all in an upward slope right now. There we go, 10 trades again, new highs. Yeah, it's funny. Stop asking. That's a great comment, by the way. Is that's exactly what our job is figure where the money's flowing. That's exactly what I've said for many years. Is you got to figure out the cash flow. If the one market's going down, is it flowing into bonds? Where's it going? Is it sector rotation? All those type of things. So Benny, what's my excuse when I make a bad call? Hey, listen, there are no bad calls. They're just trades. They're ideas. They're concepts. You know, if it's funny, people, I've done more trades than most of you guys will ever do in your lifetime. And they're not all good ones, by the way. So where is it flowing, Garden Chick? That's a good question. Right now, nowhere. It's that's why we're locked in this sideways range. I think we're going to be in this range I've been talking about on the channel for a while. Is that we're going to see this is just part of a larger trading range. You know, whether it trades up to 0.618 or trades back to 3,500, it's still there's still going to be stock ahead. There's still going to be things out there just not going to happen. There's too much uncertainty. Maybe airlines would be good. One of the things I've been watching, I only own one airline. I'll bring up the Buffett portfolio here in a few minutes. We'll talk about that. But we're still trading these highs. Machines are in control. There is a big offer showing up, 154, 175 at 34.10. There's 160, 175 contracts here. We'll see if these guys are serious or not. These are probably flash. Yep, they took them right out. We trading at the highs again. New highs, 11 trades. Wow, they just traded 14. This is the kind of, when you see this type of move here, and you see a spike, we trade 10 and then it trades 4 handles higher like this. That was an air pocket, right? They're probably happy now. Maybe they cleaned some stops up here. There's some things above the markets that they got. And now you see more or less a frenzy starting on the level 2. We printed 1425 for a nanosecond. It just printed there and it was down 2 handles after it printed. So this will be interesting to see what happens here. Yeah, I mean, George, we can trade through RXT. RXT, these are just parameters that the market usually stays within. If we do get above RXT, maybe we'll get another sell here. But yeah, it's okay. There's an upslope in it. Let me draw a couple things in here real quick because I want you folks to be able to see this. So this was basically the sidewise move. And now all of the linear regressions are in an upswing here. What we'll have to see is a formation like over here where we start to get this. I call a veil. This is a mini veil, and there's nothing really there as of yet to actually say we've got a high forming. You have to trade. Here we are trading 11s. The old high was 10.50. So we're trying to trade back down. Here's another one of those surges, this bar right here. That was the 14.25 surge. So that may have marked the high, just the way it traded. When you see a quick spike and then it just falls off like that, that was more or less probably a bunch of stops got wiped there. Just took them out. Yeah, Jeffrey, this is called, you might think this is too short of a time frame. It's not. If you're doing intraday trading, if you don't, I used to stand in trading pits, right? You see every tick. You feel every tick. So this gets you in sync with the markets. If you're just trying to look for a high, are you going to be able to trade off this thing? Yeah. Last Wednesday, 120 handle trade in 30 minutes doing the same analysis on the NASDAQ. So hang in there. Now we're starting to set up a little bit of one of those rolling tops I was talking about over in this area here. We'll see. I'm going to stick with this couple of minutes. I just feel like we could miss out, but I'll go back to the market analysis here in a minute. Sorry, this is when this kind of action is going on. It's worth watching here. We still have an upward slope in these linears. They're still sloping up, so they're going to challenge the highs again here. Now I just got a CNBC badge here that's telling me that I love these things. These are stocks rise to their session highs with Dow up more than 500 points. These guys they're the best top callers I've ever seen in my life. These little badges that come out, I love them. I mean, literally, we'll see if this thing rolls over here, but I love those. The second they claim the market's up a certain number, and it's amazing to watch these things. I'm starting to get bored. I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to go back to some analysis. I want to move forward on the show. We start talking about a couple of things I want to talk about with gold and the dollar and interest rates, and then we'll just move in and we'll start. Meanwhile, be watching for any kind of reversal here. This thing's trying to get a little mini roll again. We'll see. It's setting up a mini dragon up here, so we'll see what happens. But the little board, I want to move on and get into more stuff here that we can actually cover. So let's just go exactly there. Let's go to the dollar first. And the dollar continues to drift lower here, and we're seeing gold come back as well, and they've been pretty connected, but the dollar has come back right This is the weekly chart. Came back to the 93.30 level. That was the weekly 10-week moving average. The low today, 93.34. 10-week moving average, 93.31. PPM1, this is turning up here, and I've been talking about this on the channel. This is exactly what should have happened. I've also mentioned, if you're just tuning in, there's on these lines with the orange lines up there are the market grid. And what I want to show you here is this was an RXT sell. I talked about this, I guess 2 weeks ago, that we would get 2 weeks of downward movement sideways in this pattern, and we would move down toward this 10-period moving average, down toward the bottom end of this grid right now, and that's 93.52, S2 93.17. So that's where the dollar is going to. It should hold down in here. We probably could get one more week down, and we'll start to see it move back up toward this 21-day moving average, back toward 95, 95.15, maybe be able to get above that. And that's the primary thing. I don't think there's much to look at on a daily chart. We'll bring it up here real quick. Yeah, we're just locked in this range here, but the weekly chart I just showed you is where you want to be. Now, if we go over to gold, gold actually spiked through its extreme yesterday. Today, low was 1877, STX 1871, S3 1880. So that was the bottom end of the range. And I mentioned in last night's video that we would probably try to print back to 1917. We've only gotten to 1902 so far. We're trading 90 and change right now. I don't think we can get that much, but this 10-day moving average, 1896, will be the key number. If we close back above that today, then we'll probably move toward that 21-period moving average, somewhere between 1915 and the 1920 level. Take a quick look at the weekly graph here. Yeah, I'm just looking at the E-minis. They're still trading 1250, high 14. So we'll continue to watch that as well. But this was the thing that I've been talking about on gold for the past couple weeks, probably 3 weeks now, is that we would remain within the range of the 10-period moving average, 1951 high. This was 2 weeks ago. And the bottom end, the 1860 level would be the bottom end of the range. We printed that week 1851. We go to last week, we printed down at 1851 there. We double bottomed there, and then the range was 1950, medium 1861. So we spiked through it. Now we look at this week. Medium average, which is the 21, 1873, 1940 high. So far, we've had a 27, 1927, 77 low. So we're maintaining, we're sandwiched between these two moving averages right now. So if you're trading gold, you can still trade these ranges. The only concerning fact here is that the PPMs, you see PPM1 is just, all of the PPMs are turning down. They've crossed their first, second derivatives. They're turning down big time, which suggests there's still going to be downward pressure. The upside is limited, probably 1920, where we traded now, 25 to 40 is going to be the top end, and there's still some downside on this market, potentially down to 1830. And if we actually close under the 21-week moving average under 1873, then what the likelihood is that you're going to go on to the 17 handle, maybe 1780. There's some other relationships that will come out if we get that close. See, I actually love this chat line because I can see all the emotions coming out. It's awesome. You have to know, I spent a lot of years in trading floors, and you can see the emotion. When I miss the old trading floor days because you can see the emotion. Now that we're behind this facade of this digital screens, chat lines like this actually show all of your emotions. I love it, you know. It just negative, positive, but you can really get a feel. But when you're standing in a trading pit back in the old days, you can see the sentiment. And then at the end of the day, if you want to see how everyone did, at Chicago Board of Trade, they had a big long escalator that came down from the trading floor. All you had to do was stand at the bottom of the stairs and watch, look at the faces coming down the escalator. If a guy's looking at his shoelaces, it wasn't a good day. Anyway, but yeah, no, I love this because you really can see it. And yeah, so I don't know if we're getting a big roll yet, but let's flash over to the screen. But I just wanted to cover the gold and the dollar there very quickly. Let's take a quick look at that. Yeah, we're still grinding out. We're trying to do this rolling top. This is encouraging. Like I said, we printed 14 on the upside. The machines are still in control, man. They don't want to let this go. I've seen days where there's no volatility. They just lock them up here at the top end of the range, maybe 05 to 14, and they grind them out right into the close. We got an hour and a half to go. So, you know, this is feeling right now for me like one of those days. Yeah, and I would agree, Adam Messer, that the amount of money that's been pumped into the market absolutely going higher. Intermediate trends, our database right now is 60% long. 60% of every symbol of 16,500 symbols, which encompass ETFs, mutual funds, bond funds, and individual stocks, are bullish right now on an intermediate level. And I've talked about, I haven't really covered the intermediate viewpoint from the database. I usually do that on Sunday night, but these things are very bullish. And the holding period is saying that there's another 6 to 8 months of upward movement yet. What we're doing right now is the consolidation after the big rally off the lows. That's what's happening. So we're talking about short-term trends here. We're talking about the configuration, what's going on. We're grinding them out. These ABC, my expectation is this ABCX, ABC patterns that are unfolding on a short-term basis. The weekly is locked in a sideways range. Nothing's happening before. No one's going to make any big bets before this election. Think about it. You know, why? Maybe stimulus, yeah, whatever. That's not going to happen. Maybe they can, you know, let's face it, the whole tweet on the airlines is just another one of those things. And I'm going to get geared up here to start collecting some names here. Don't start them yet, please, but getting some symbols and some things that you folks want to talk about here. So I think what I'm going to do before we move on, I want to go through interest rates, yield curve, and then I think we'll just move on and we'll start to go through some other things, and maybe we'll open it up for yeah, that's interesting, Christoph. We do have that. Let me show you something here. Thanks, Soup. I appreciate it, man, for the super chat. Thank you. Let's Christoph brought up a good. Let's segue here just for a minute. Let's go to portfolioexpert.com. And folks, you can sign up for this for a free account if you want, and you can see what I'm about to show you on the dashboard here. So I can go, when I go to my account, I'm already logged in. I go to my account, this dashboard comes up, and I will show you exactly what you're talking about, Christoph. This is how you can segregate all this out, and this is on an intermediate basis. So let's go full screen here, get it big so you can see it. So what we can do is right now, this is equities. Equities is 50.33% long. ETFs is 60.6. I'm sorry, mutual funds 60.57. The ETFs and the equities are very similar. And the reason for that is that equities and ETFs are mostly equities, right? There's not a lot of bond ETFs. There are plenty of them, but not like the mutual funds. So the mutual funds get skewed overall. And then on this dashboard, you can actually go and see how the bullish percent is changing week to week. I can also go here and I can just say, hey, show me the mutual fund activity. And then I can see on just the mutual funds and what the percent and the bullishness on mutual funds. I can do the same thing with ETFs. So I can go over here to ETFs, and now you can see exactly what's going on with ETFs. And so you can segregate that out if you want to. There's a free account sign up. You can go up to portfolioexpert.com and actually just sign up for the for this whole
the business for no.
Oh, nice. Sorry about that. So yeah, you can just sign up for this whole thing. The other thing that you can see here is exposure by even the fund exposure. When you're on a mutual fund, you can see what mutual funds are actually in that position. Same thing with the sectors. If you go up and you pull up the equities, you can break this down. Like I said, this is a free access on this. Everybody can get it. And in fact, I think yeah. So you can definitely get that. I think there's even a share link down at the bottom. But anyway, you can go through each one of the sectors here. You can see week to week what sells happen in the sector, what new buys happen, and you can see the overall percentage. You can see, as I was saying, most of the sectors are above 45. Energy is, as you would expect, energy is one of the sectors that's not performing as well. Financials is at 44% right now. And then if we, telecommunications also 43. You got technology, 61% of the symbols are bullish there. So this is a way you can actually see all that stuff. So we are continuing to kind of roll on this S&P chart here. So let's do this. Let's take a minute and yeah, I'm going to solicit you guys start giving me some symbols. I'm going to make some stuff so we can get set up for the next section. Yeah, Garden Chick, could you explain that question a bit? Would you consider making a video about market crash buy-in prices for the big six? Explain that a little bit more. Give me a little bit. All right, you guys are awesome. Okay, hold up for, I'll get another batch. There's quite a few to go through there. Just hold up for right now. Thanks, folks. I can go back on this line and look at these. Yeah, I see somebody wanting AMC. Boy, what a disaster that is. Okay, so just looking at futures here, trading down. One of the things I'm going to do here is I am going to go back. I want to go into the portfolio manager on WaveTech, and I want to look at my Buffett portfolio. And this would be interesting to see. We'll look at the airlines and see if these things. Right now, it only owns one of the airlines right now, and that is, and it's actually turned slightly negative again. American Airlines. It bought 16% of the money for this symbol at the 1259 level. Yesterday closed 1253. We'll look at that in a minute. Matter of fact, I think I'll start off with some of the airlines here. We'll go through that analysis. In this portfolio, I've got AAL, Allegiant, and oh, okay. Thanks, Garden Chicken. I'll take a look at that. Okay, so these are all the symbols that are in there right now. The only one that's long is the only one that is long is the American Airlines. But this portfolio right now is actually up 84.65 for the year. This is using our short-term models. It was out during this period of time. It got back in, owned I think 7 or 8 of the 9 symbols in here, and now we just own the one. And it'll be interesting to see. We'll go through these airlines here right now. So let's start with that. We're gonna. Yeah, I guess we were able to print down here. What did we print on here? Down to 07. Like I said, 05 to probably 11 is going to be your range for this right now. And it's going to take a print on the futures below 3402. We print through 3402, then they'll challenge that 99.50 breakout point that we watched earlier in the broadcast here. All right, so let's take a look and go through some of these things. Let's take a look. We'll start with American Daily. Yeah, they got a nice bid there, of course, after the tweet. I wish I had that image that I put on Twitter on my computer. It's only on my phone, unfortunately. I have a lot of stored up images for Twitter. So if you did want to follow me on Twitter, I've seen some people starting to follow me. It is Twitter/portfolio expert is the Twitter handle, and that's portfolio and expert with no E, just a big X. Okay. But as we look here, we got 447. This thing's been in a sideways range. We're going to look at the weekly graph here. And this was the trade that we spiked up. Those of you that were watching when Warren Buffett sold the airlines, I did a video on how to take advantage of Buffett's screw up. I mean, he had to know they're going to bail these airlines, right? There's going to be a stimulus no matter what happens. It's just a matter of when. And, you know, it's funny because airlines aren't restricted for people to move around for the most part. I guess if you're flying to New York or California, you're just flying into a quarantine zone, I guess, yet. But there's a lot of places you can travel to, and people aren't traveling. Nobody, you know, they've managed to disrupt the level of fear in the public and the populace is so high. People aren't taking any risk at all, and it's sad, right? Because that's probably some of our very favorite things to to do is to travel and go places, go to cool places, right? And who wants to sit in a car for 3 days? Nobody. So anyway, this airline trade, you see the PPMs are starting to really accelerate. We're at one plus on this weekly 1.53 on American Airlines is PPM 1.5. The only thing that has a negative element on this chart is there's major resistance, which is fine if you own this thing, is at the 1540 level, which we're looking here, which is the 40-week moving average. It is declining at 2.31% per week, which tells you there's less than a 10% probability that we're going to trade above that level. But as we go forward, this PPM, that's PPM 3 down here where my cursor is down below, that is, once that starts to cross its first and then ultimately a second derivative, then there's a big turn coming. And I suspect this pattern that I'm talking about right now will exist on all the airlines as we go through them. We'll go through 3 airlines, then I'm going to hit the list that you folks asked for. Okay. But this also ties together everything that's going on in this economy. This goes to that capacity trade that I talked about a number of weeks ago, is what kind of capacity can we get back? And I mean, let's face it, I mean, New York, they're talking about shutdowns again. I have no idea where this ends or where all of us get sick and tired of this stuff. And, anyway, yeah. So, but this pattern, let me draw this in because I think this could be an interesting pattern to look at. So we get this. This is kind of elongated. We're gonna stretch, but this is setting up, in my view, this is going to be your trend line. Now, a lot of people, you should know if you've watched the channel for a while, I absolutely hate trend lines. They're amateur from my viewpoint. Don't like them. Use them. I don't care. But the problem I have with trend lines is that I drew them. Okay, and when that happens, that means when I draw a trend line, it becomes emotionally attached. It becomes subjective. You start to cap out markets and all that stuff. And some of them are valid. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're not useful. I'm just saying I don't use them. And many years ago, 1984 it was, I worked with, when we developed the PPMs back in 83 to 84, we were trying to answer a question: is when is a moving average a valid trend line? When is the market going to stay under it or above it, depending on the direction of the average? And that's where the PPMs come in. They're just assessing 2 things: the percentage change or the angle of attack, and then they're looking at the first and second derivatives. We wanted an early signal to go, hey, internally, this moving average is starting to slow down. We can see that. And this is the one thing, everybody uses moving averages. I love them. But we didn't know how to look at them and have confidence in them. And that's what the PPMs do for me. That's all you hear. The whole analysis that I do is around the quant software that I built along the lines of understanding moving averages, this angle of attack, and probabilities. Okay, that's what it's about. That's my world I live in. Those of you that are watching this, that's the world you're in right now, is the world of probabilities, and the outcomes are always updating constantly. So here we go. I was just looking for some of the Fed stuff. Minutes of the Fed meeting show unease among officials. So does anyone care? No, not really, not so far. Yeah, I was looking for that release to come out here, and yeah, they face skepticism on the opposition in trying to guide markets. Let's see here. Yeah, just a quick comment, since this is news that just came out, is that I've said this 1,000 times, said it last night, said it the night before, said it 3 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. The Fed depends on having the monetary policy can only do so much for, that's going to help the markets, but the economy is going to be helped through that fiscal stimulus. So it's just basically they got to spend the money to put it into people's hands right now, especially with all these places I just mentioned are still shut down. So you got to have the stimulus. It's a team. Monetary, you got to have the Fed supplying lots of capital out there. And as Chairman Powell has told us 100 times now, that they have lending powers, not spending powers. He keeps saying that, if you folks listen to that. And who has the spending powers? You know who. The legislature has the spending power. So as we go through, they got to get the stimulus done, nothing before. But this is just a continuation of everything we already know. We're trading back at 14 again on the futures. Let's flop over there just real quick for a second, since we have some breaking news. So here we go. Looks like they want to try to print through the highs again. The news stories, these algos run on these news stories. So we're still looking at a pump job here. Here we are, 14.25 high. We got 174 for sale at a quarter. And what you want to watch when you're looking at real-time quotes like this is now there's 90, 100 at 14 to see if they'll build this offer at even. They did. Now it's 60. You're watching now. There's about 300 contracts. Not a lot that can be taken out pretty easily, but those are pretty substantial bids. And as the higher you go up, when you get to 15, there's 330, 206. There are a few thousand contracts for sale above this market. Now everybody that's trading that understands this stuff can see all this stuff. Here we are trying to print the highs again. 118. Watch that offer at even. That's where you want to watch. It's right over here where my cursor is. Yeah, so yeah, 185 here. So anyway, it looks like they're going to hold it. There's quite a few contracts above this market for sale. Now they can rip through these things, no problem here. But when you're seeing that kind of profile, that's not usually where you'll get your spike from. So we're still fighting it up here. Machines are working his offers. 158 on at even. Like I said, here we go. We're trading evens. See if they can work this off. Yeah, look at that. 200 on the even. There they go. They down tick them about a handle off of that. Now we're looking at, yeah, so this is interesting action again here, folks. This is exactly what you're seeing here. There's a lot of contracts for sale above the market. So the machines are probably the ones out there. Yeah, so it looks like they're going to try this thing one more time. We're going to stay with this real-time quotes. We got 200 at even now. Here we are. They're working off. We're about to trade evens again. Now they don't want anything to do with this so far. We'll see. Yeah, we got 225 at even. Now between even and there's 500 for sale. So we're continuing to see some selling up above the market here. Still looking for that, I guess, that climactic high or the point where there's a capitulation where whoever owns these things right now just want to get out. They're going to have to get out. We got an hour to go to the close. Yeah, I saw, Gino, I think you sent me an email on the your optimism about a deal. Not going to happen, man. Think about it. Why would they give Trump a win? They're not going to do it. Um, and the reason it's funny. I just want to say this. This is not a. Uh, the reason why Trump walked away. If you guys, I don't care if you hate the guy. Read The Art of the Deal for no other reason, or understand it. No other reason to understand how this guy negotiates. He's a damn good negotiator. And there's one rule that in the art of the deal that you need to know is you'll never do a good deal if and get a price that you want no matter what you're doing. I don't care, buying a car or whatever, if you're not willing to walk away. When I saw that he walked away, his back, they put an image up with Trump walking out of the room, basically turning his back on the deal. There was no deal to happen anyway. He was just sick of playing the game. So he said, okay, we'll just wait till later. That's just, that's a tactic, So, but yeah. So anyway, but that's what we're dealing with there as far as that stuff goes. Yeah, we're still struggling. Machines are holding this thing up. 11.25 now is going to be your key pivot on this thing. So let's go back to some analysis on these other stocks here. So I just want to continue this thought. I'm going to bring you back to it. I'm sorry to get, there's too much going on in the market here with that news coming out. All right, this is what I was about to discuss just a minute ago, is that this pattern is setting up, is basically setting up what looks like is going to be a breakout. Maybe this is a weekly. But to get to the 200-week moving average, 200-week moving average is down 0.5% per week. So it is a downslope. It is declining over time. So most likely somewhere between $28 and $30 on American would be a cap on this stock. But it definitely looks like this is a weekly graph. Definitely looks like this is where the money is going to be. Let's go through two more airlines. I'm going to stay focused, and so we can start to get through some of these stocks and things that you folks want to hear about. All right, let's go to Allegiant. Yeah, this thing, it was interesting. Allegiant was one of the stronger players. It's actually been hovering just below its 200-day, and it's not in that. It's up 2.51. This stock was originally, when we did the Buffett trade, this was the big winner. The setup on going back into May when we did that trade was huge, and we traded all the way to the 200-day, or I'm sorry, 200-week moving average. This is a weekly graph. So this setup here isn't as good. Let's take a look also at ALK. Look at Alaska. Yeah, so similar setup to what I just went through on American. Same setup at positive PPMs, PPM 1, 2. The only thing left to get through is going to be that 40-period moving average. 40.65 is your trigger point. Above that, then you start to run somewhere between $50, $55 on this thing. So there's some big moves left in these, and we have to know they are going to do some kind of stimulus deal. There is going to be a package for the airlines. What are we going to do? Shut down we're going to shut down the entire transportation system. We already have. I don't know. This is a side note, okay? I don't know about you folks. I'm not that comfortable getting on an airplane, not because of COVID, because these things have been parked in fields. How do I know they're running right? What's going to break on this shit when we get all these planes? I mean, I'm sure folks you've all seen these parking lots of these airports with just hundreds of jets parked in the field sitting there collecting dust. What's it going to be like bringing those back on maintenance wise? Man, scary stuff, I think. You know, I think I want to let them fly for about 6 months, let them work out all the bugs. So anyway, but you know, let's do one more. So this is a setup. American Airlines, Alaska looks the same. Let's do JetBlue, and then we'll end here. JetBlue is sitting right on that 40 line. So Allegiant's the only one I've looked so far that doesn't have that American Airlines pattern. So the good news is the WaveTech models will pick this up when these things start to break out. It's going to be all over them. It doesn't miss trades. And when these things start to happen and this criteria comes into flow, that's the beauty of having a quantitative process, that you don't have to watch everything. You know, you can just set it up and put it in there and wait for the trigger. Then if you want, you can go and make an analysis of it. You can use the market grid on the symbol if it's in there. And if you came in late, I know there's an error on last night's market grid. We're trying to figure out what happened. There was some kind of misalignment with some of the tables or something happened. Not sure what's going on. Anyway, yeah, so let's move on. Let's hit some of these other stocks. And this will be random, but we're looking at uranium energy. This is weekly. Absolutely nothing here. This is what I call a dragon head into and probably into a caterpillar move. There's not a lot on this thing that looks interesting. Look at a quick daily chart. Probably, you know, this is a real cheap stock. So we're looking at $1.07. Yeah, these are tough to make an analysis of. What's the volume on this thing? Yeah, a lot of volume. 4 million shares. But yeah, but even then, 4 million shares is not a lot of money flowing through this thing. So it's pretty tough. Looks like it's trying to break out here. PPMs are all turning up. So, you know, if you're trading that kind of stuff, that looks like there's some upside. It's kind of hard to figure out exactly where. Maybe fill in that gap up there at $1.20, something like that. Well, not a stock, but we'll take a look at SLV. We'll look at silver here real quick, up 2%. We continue to set up this little bottoming pattern. If you notice, the PPMs are all looking very positive here as far as the overall patterns go. They look fairly bullish, trying to move back up into these moving averages. 20, 23, 24 PPMs turning up. This is a good look here, and so we're probably going to go up to that 21 period moving average, something like that. Let's go to weekly real quick, and then yeah, there it is right there. There's your weekly. R2 2316, R3 2370. That's going to be about the peak. Similar to gold, but different. Too many people try to tie these together. They're different markets. And what we're really seeing here is the sandwich job between the 21 and 10, like in gold, but it's a much broader range. 2077, 2417 so far this week, 2162, 2281. So we've basically just went above R1. Yeah, it's almost a perfect S1, R1 on a weekly. And this thing's locked in this range. You're seeing a PPM 1 minus 0.19. There's quite a bit. So you're going to stay sandwiched between that range. We'll just call it a 20. Let me get that range again. We'll call it 2316, probably S2, R2, which would be 2110, 2316. So that's your trading range if you're trading that. Yeah. I like to say I refuse to look at Berkshire. It's a piece of junk. Don't trade that thing. I haven't looked at that in so long. It's just a mutual fund. All right. All right, let's do I guess this is a microsector FANG 3 times. We're getting up to FNGU. We're getting up into the R2 range, 200.14. That 10 period movement average slicing through here is what I call the demand line. But that upslope right now, you got 3.69. That you're going to remain above that average. Even though we spiked under it 3 weeks ago, we closed back above it. The probabilities of closing under this is about 10%. That number right now, 178.13. Take a quick look at the daily. Daily for today, we're printing up around the RXT number at 200. 200.12 is RXT, the high 98.59. Actually, we're just above R3, 93.03. Yeah, so we were able, I turned my head, we were able to print a new high. Machine still in control here. It went through 16. We had quite a bit of selling above the market. They were able to take that out. This is just one of those grind jobs on the futures here. So 1675 high. They just keep running this thing higher. All right, back to stocks. Do Facebook. Facebook continuing to be underwater. I read a story, something about Facebook is going to start doing e-commerce sites or something. You know, these guys don't miss a trick. But yeah, so we're trading the PPM1 is a minus 0.23. There's a downtrend. This is kind of one of those mixed pictures. We've got an upward slope PPM1 with a downward slope PPM2. There's going to be a crossover here. The crossover, the negative crossover with the 21 crossing through the 10, or I guess it'll be the other way, is that even though it's downsloping, when the 10 crosses the 21 to the upside, most people think that's a positive. The initial reaction there is probably a negative, where you get another 2 or 3 days down after the cross. Ultimately, it would go. That's why these golden crosses and all that crap that you guys hear out there on the internet, that's, you know, if you, I actually was going to put that golden cross together and put a, and actually put together a track record on when that happens. It'd be real simple to do in TradeStation to set that up. And I guarantee it's not worth watching. So, okay. Yeah, weekly on the Facebook is, a lot of these charts are just going to be sandwiched between these ranges. You're going to be sandwiched between the 10-week and 21-week moving average. And right now for that's 266, 249. We trade 258 right now. High 65, so went right up to it, backed off a little bit. That's going to be your range. PPM1 is positive. PPM2 has a really nice upslope, 0.91, so that tells us we're likely to go. Yeah, maybe I'll have to. Maybe I'll have to coin myself as the anti-Warren Buffett channel. Just don't like the guy, you know. He has been a weasel so long, it's hard to believe. He's always slithering around trying to get deals from the government. If you look at 08, 09, the Goldman Sachs bonds he did, the Bank of America, all that stuff was backed by the government. How much money could you and I make if the U.S. government said we can't lose money? You know, anyway. Guy's a putz. I'm sorry. You know, he made money when America was growing. He hasn't made. You look at Berkshire. It's like looking at like the S&P. I mean, it's somewhat of a joke. Anyway, I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm a Buffett troll. For the life of me, for 30 years, I haven't figured why people even listen to that guy. So anyway, let's go to. Let's go to Peloton. Not a lot of information here. I am actually starting up. I'm opening up another program. I think I can get a better view of this. I know. I'm sorry. You gotta watch it when you get me on Buffett, man. Guy just, yeah. He's right up there with my ex-wife. Okay. I'm working on bringing something up on the screen. I just want to see if this is a better view. Yeah, so let me bring over on the screen. Let me bring the Portfolio Expert software up. And just so we can, the problem with TradeStation is it can't calculate any of the indicators until it gets enough data. Now, one of my good partners, my original partner when we developed the VPM process, we developed all the technology. My original partner was David, and he came up with the most brilliant thing. David, if you're watching, thank you again, because he came up with this brilliant idea how we could model stocks 1 week, 1 day after they went public. We had an old institutional client that called me up one day and said, Bob, how can, we love IPOs, but we need to know when to sell them and all that stuff. So David came up with this, and thank you, David. I hope you're listening. I know he's probably flying incognito out there, but what happened was we seed the data. So we get a data, a new stock starts trading, and this is why we can calculate on. So let me show you. This is the view on TradeStation. Let me move that over. This is all of the PPMs you can see. They're worthless. Then we go over to Portfolio Expert. Now we can see PPMs. We can calculate everything. What we did is we seed the data back. So we take the first open and we draw basically a straight line, digital straight line, open, high, low, close are all the same number. So we can actually start trading. That's something else if you're a WaveTech user. If we put a new symbol in, we can actually give you a buy sell signal day 2 after an IPO. And 1 week after an IPO, we can give you an intermediate signal. We can already model it because we can calculate, we can do the calculations for the PPMs and some other things. Now, they don't have a track record, so who knows how that trade works out, but we can do it, and we found it to be really effective. But here we are looking at Peloton here. I actually have a buy signal way back in April, which is fairly timely. When it came off of this low, it's still long. still printing up. So now we'll go over and we'll look at TradeStation on a daily basis, just so we can get a short-term view, because you really can't see anything. It's interesting right now, Peloton is blasting through its high. You know, I looked at, I did look at the I guess at actually buying one of these things, and just, I don't know, seems just really ridiculous. But the, you know, I live in the mountains, so I can go for a hike. So anyway, the RXT number is being violated today. That number is 116.44, trading last 117.05. If we trade above that, then you're going to see, we'll say, a 1 to 2 day retracement here. And, you know, they just keep bidding this thing crazily. I mean, this is crazy. And this is one of those social trends and things that are, this is, you know, the whole shutdown thing. I guess maybe after New York talking about, you know, never going to open up the clubs again, you know, I don't know. Yeah, they're just destroying industries. As somebody talked about AMC, I've got it on the list. I'll go through it here in a minute. But this is a classic. And I just want to show you, just so you can start to build some confidence when I see this stuff. And check it out. Here was a RXT sell, 2-3. This is daily. Actually, it went down. That was a signal. Right here was another one. Here was another one. And maybe one today, which would tell us we'd get some sideways to down. You got to kind of wait to the close. If the number is, let me get rid of this. The number that we're watching for is 116.44. That will be your signal from the standpoint of Peloton closes over there. Should be a 2 to 3 day retracement. Should also go back toward the bottom end of the, should head toward at least an R2, but an S2. That would be 107. Yeah, 108 to 106 would be the target range off of this. So a $10 trade. If it closes above there, maybe it manages to stay just below it. We're trading 16.99. As I said, that number is 116.44. I'll put this up here. I've actually traded a fair amount of these. The leverage, these are the TQs. It's up 566. We're printing up at the higher end of the grid. Daily, RXT 134.86, 133.64, 134.11. So we're trading up at that higher end of the grid. But just like these charts look just like the S&P when we're looking at that. We're getting the PPMs turning back up, and this could set another range. Maybe I've said that we won't go to 0.76 retracement. Maybe we are. So I see some chatter on what is Zillow's, what is the stock symbol on that? So let's go to DraftKings. Yeah, maybe the party's over here a little bit, down 421. I mean, it's pretty lame watching NFL games with nobody in the stadium, so to speak. Not sure how that's going to work out. You guys follow Dave Portnoy on Twitter. It's pretty funny. I think he's just making bad bets everywhere he goes right now. It was hilarious on a Texas Tech game the other day. Anyway, but yeah, so we've traded down here to the 21-day moving average, 52.80. The low has been 52.20. And if we look at STX, 52.19. So we basically printed the STX number on DraftKings. I know the grid got messed up, but DraftKings is one of the symbols in there. That's very, very frustrating. I still don't know what happened there. So anyway, that's what I'll be doing this afternoon. So yeah, that's a hard one, right? Zillow is Z. Yeah, we're down to 10-day moving average, 103.85, low 104.46, heading toward that range. PPMs not necessarily, they're pretty strong actually. Your major support's going to be at 97.43. This is like the tail end of this trade, but here's another one right over here where my cursor is. This bar right here, there's another one of those RXT sell signals, and we got one here, but it defied gravity. But within 3 days, it was back at the lower end of the grid. So a little more risk in that, but this was a very clean where it spiked up nice 2-3 days. Actually had a 4-day downward slope, but we did hit toward the bottom end of the grid, which is that magical number. Usually we'll hit it within 2 days. No, Brooke, no. The criteria for the down for tomorrow was two phase on that outside bar trade. Thanks, Traumatic. Appreciate it. Yeah, well, I'll do AMD, no problem. But yeah, so with all these patterns, when you start to get set up like this, with PPMs like this, you're just going to see it move down into this moving average range. And these are very tough trades. Let's go to weekly real quick, just see what we get. A little bit of a reversal on a weekly, printed a new high this week, and now it's starting to reverse. I'm very bullish overall on the real estate sector. I still think that migration is happening. A lot of folks moving out of the city and the suburbs. It is absolutely crazy up here. And no offense to any of the California people, but they are all moving to Arizona and Texas, and a lot of them up here because it feels familiar, and it's 20 degrees cooler up here than the Phoenix Valley. So yeah, but they're not very well liked around here for some reason. People get very yeah, you want to change. If you move to Arizona, change your California plates as soon as you can. Get new plates the day you get here. Okay, so let's go next here. Here we go to AMC weekly. I want to go to monthly on this real quick. I want to see what this looks like. somewhat interesting. This stock topped out way back in 17, has been under pressure, and certainly this last 18 was the next level. You can't even say that the pandemic did much of anything to this thing. It's not like it cratered out. So I guess, is this AMC as in the movie theaters? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, anyway, yeah. This is just a terrible business, it looks like, to be in. Still a lot of downward pressure here. PPM are just big downward risk here. Major resistance 490. Stay away. So Virgin Galactic, I think I covered this last week. We did get an RXT breakout on a weekly. We'll see how it goes. We're trading back up at the extremes. I guess maybe they'll be the second mission to Mars. Remember that ride at Disneyland, Mission to Mars? Yeah, so we're trading at 2291 RXT weekly. PPMs look pretty good on this one though. On PPM 2 and 3 are very positive. So yeah, let's keep moving down the road here. This stock bank Boeing has just been a tough stock. I actually took it out of the airline portfolio. It's just nothing there. You got a reversal. Yesterday got a reversal. It's up today, primarily to the Trump's Twitter account, but nothing really here. It should move with the airlines, but like I said, who needs a new airplane when they're all parked in a field? I'm not sure this company's got a lot of upside in it. We'll see. We could ultimately see it move out of here. It's got the same issue as the airlines at 40-week moving average 194.82. So let's do AMD next, and then we'll do Intel since we're covering that. AMD is continuing to move higher in the pattern, and we're trading at 88.18 as RXT, the high 87.79, 86.67 R3. So we're trading on a weekly basis up at the extremes, but we're seeing the PPM starting to falter. PPM 1 is through its second derivative, so momentum is starting to fade here, and typically that means that this big bar day that we had back on 9/4, this is a weekly, that is going to be your key point at that 94.28. We're most likely going to just remain in a range here on this stock. If we look at a short term, maybe we can zero in on this a little bit. Yeah, we did get an RXT sell 2 days ago. We're down yesterday, up. We basically satisfied the RXT sell going down to the lower end of the grid. There's probably another day or two in this range before we even have a chance to move out. But just like the S&P and all these others, PPMs are turning up. That they're telling us there could be another leg to the upside here. Yeah, I don't know if I would do anything with BA. I mean, it's just it looks, it's going to go with the airlines probably, but it will lag the airlines. Yeah, I would still hold it. Definitely. Okay. Keep going here. Yeah, so a lot of these stocks, I don't know. I can't see what the company is. Don't know much about them. It's all technical anyway. We did get RXT sell 2 days ago, reversal yesterday. Now we've spiked above RXT. This is just getting sucked into the momentum overall in the marketplace. I want to flop over to the, yeah, so here we are at 10. So that little 16 print was the high on the futures. Be interesting to see how this thing closes. What time is it? In 5 minutes, we'll start focusing in on the close of the market here, and just to kind of get a feel for that. We'll do a couple more stocks here. Yeah, how could we forget Apple and Tesla, right? So, all of these stocks, these primary stocks that are been driving the market. Here we are, ppm 1, 2, and 3 all turning up. There's still resistance over here at 116.99. I think we're just sandwiched in this sideways range. Not sure we're going to be able to get out of here. I think the close on the futures today might give us a clue. If we go to the weekly chart, my argument has been, since we got that big spike going back to the split 4-for-1, that most likely will, I made the comment that this could be an intermediate high triggered by both the Apple and the Tesla splits, but we're still hovering along this 10 period moving average, 115.54. It's like a magnet here, although it's starting to see ppm 1 is crossed to its first second derivative, ppm 2 is the first derivative, and ppm 3 is fading as well. So to me, I would think Apple has another leg down, and I know the iPhone 12 is coming out, and depending on what kind of tracking they have, I'll probably end up, I'm ready for an upgrade. So I'll probably be going that route. We'll see what they got to say, but it's this here, it still looks to me that there's some, this is AB, this is the AB pattern. We could go a little higher, but that right now, that 10 period moving average up 0.78 is a magnet for this stock at 115.50. So we're going to continue. You see, we get through it, we come right back. We're just hovering either side of it. This is pretty classic. We should ultimately, I think, hit the 21 period moving average. That's rising, so somewhere between 103, 101, 102 range, and that is also mapped out here in the grid. XTX is 103. This is a weekly, so that's something we could see there. Yeah, let's do a couple. That's a good suggestion. Some green energy stocks. Yeah, so this is just spiked through. This is a weekly. Went right through the highs through the RXT. So we could get, we stay up here, 1975 or higher close. RXT sell. We got one over here. We went back down. So you got a big drop on this thing. Based on that, this will turn up after this week if we stay up here. The 21 period moving average and the 10 period moving average, 1579 is probably going to be a target if we do get this RXT sell, and that's rising, so it's going to be probably around 1650 or so. on this one. Yeah, I got to do Tesla yet, so I'll do that real quick. Here we are at Netflix trading up toward RXT on a weekly, 544.14, high 536. Actually, we're just above R3, 534.45. PPMs have rebounded, but it looks to me, I think all these stocks, I don't think they're going to go and run into new highs here. I think these higher end ranges, if you were lucky enough to buy off this 21 period moving average, is going to be key. The 10 period moving average on the weekly is also going to be the key at 498.21. You got a plus 0.92 on this one. All right, we'll go a couple more. Let's do Tesla. Tesla has the same pattern. We go back to the split. We go back to 9.4. We go back to that week. This is a weekly, and we just continue to stay in this broad range. 10 period moving average, 395.42. I mentioned this the other day. If you get anywhere close to that, that will be a buy. We got down to 0.06, so $10. Maybe that's close. But this is going to continue to climb this line. We could see a retest of the 502 level, but I think the grid will be pretty strong here around the 4. You can see R1 right now is 433.21, the high 433.65. So if we did print above that, 453 would be the extreme, but I still think we're locked in this whole sideways range, what you see here within the grid, for at least 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks. And like I said, I know Tesla's electric cars, but it really depends on where you live, on whether you're really green or not, right? If you're in a coal-fired electricity area, like I said, Phoenix is super green because we're nuclear powered. And we're also hydro powered from the Hoover Dam. So there's a lot of, and we also have another one that Roosevelt Dam generates a lot of electricity as well. So we're very green here in the desert. I don't know what WWR is. 11. I can't. It's. Hang on 1 second. Yeah. Westwater Resources. Okay. Don't know these stocks, but I can tell you one thing. If you're a WaveTech user, we'd have definitely bought this thing down here. There's no doubt. It doesn't miss these kind of moves. Yeah. Here's a CRSP daily. It's spiking out. Definitely going to get RXT sell today. Whether that was a climactic breakout or not, we'll see. Let's see if there's anything on a weekly. Yeah, same thing. Not much really to talk about. PPMs that are trying to turn up, they're very strong. The 10 period moving average will be your first support, 86.93. Of course, it's printing 97. So we'll see how that all plays out. All right, let's go take a look and let's walk into the close here. We're 11. on the futures right now. See if we can locate a couple. See if we can find anything on the short-term chart. Yeah, so this is a classic example of what I talked about an hour and a half ago. Is this is just that upward high-end grind. We're starting to print down to 10. This is a 5-minute S&P futures. Support 05, that's going to be your pivot at 05. So that's why I wanted to find. There's one other number here, 0850 and 05 are going to be numbers that we watch going into close. On the upside, we're looking at 12, let's call it 13 on the upside. So let's go over there, take a look at this stuff. So 0820. And 0550. That's a downside. Yeah, they just, I'm going to flash back to this 5-minute graph over here on the other page. Yeah, they just absolutely just this is one of those classic where you get the day, it's up, and it trades up into the highs and then just grinds sideways for the rest of the session. Now, we may be able to get some selling coming in here at the close. The close is going to tell us a lot. We have 13 minutes to go. Yeah, I actually don't think it's a short covering rally in the dollar. I think the dollar is in a minor uptrend right now. So what we've done is we've corrected from the rally and we're still moving higher on the dollar. Yeah, somebody said, can we gap up? I don't know. You got to see what Trump tweets, right? Let's face it, there's no deal on the airlines today. That's all that had to be said. We're going to work on a deal. The algorithms pick it up. We rally. Here we are. It's the kind of market we live in. That's the kind of world we live in right now. But those are not good, solid reasons to be buying things. It's all speculation. Yeah, I don't think SPX, it could gap up. Sure it could. Yeah, I don't know about Head and Shoulders patterns. I don't look at them at all. I don't even know. I don't look at that kind of stuff. Wedges, bull flags, bear flags. No. It's all Edwards and McGee stuff that people are regurgitating on the internet. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see here. I'm going to go back over to the level 2. We're still printing down at these lower levels here at this 1050 level. 820 is the trigger on the downside, so we've got 11 minutes to go into the close. The close is going to tell us a lot about potentially what's going to happen. Yeah, GM, of course you can make a new high. Of course you can do all that stuff. Yeah, you could gap higher and you can make a new high. But I don't see anyone placing that kind of bet ahead of the elections. What are we talking? 35, what, 60? I don't remember the high, which is odd for me. Yeah. Thanks, Garden Chick. I appreciate that. Yeah, smash that like button. Also, subscribe to the channel. We're working on 25,000 subscribers now, so gotta get that. I do videos every day, Sunday night through Thursday night, and they're for the next day. And we do 2 live streams every week. Yeah, 3580. Thanks, Benny. Yeah. Now look at this. Here we go. We got a little reversal on the 1 minute. Just, this is going to be important. And I talk to you folks every time we do one of these, is the last 2 minutes and into the close and the 2 minutes after the cash closes. Watching the futures will tell you what kind of unwinds there are. We printed down, what was the low here? 0950. So as I said, 820, 825 is the yeah, Alan, the daily grid, I'm not sure when it's going to get out today. I've got to air check that. There's a lot of work to do this afternoon when I get done here. I've got 2 other things I have to get done today. So that will be top of the list. Figuring out what went wrong with the grid last night. I'm not sure what happened. Hey, Michael Rennie, can you restate that? This timeline's moving so fast, it's hard for me to find it. Yeah, I don't know if the S&P is looking bullish in the next couple of days. What was it bullish about today? A tweet on Airlines? Not sure that's enough. We'll see. Yeah, trading 11s here, 11:12. 7 minutes to go. I don't know. Vivano, thank you for the. Yeah, did the price action confirm the ABC? The answer is no, but I'll cover that once we get through the close here. We got another 6 minutes to go. Trading back 1275. Like I said, this is a classic where the machines own this thing. And we're going to figure out, we're going to know more about this market 4 minutes after the close than we do right now. Yeah, I'm not sure a blue wave's going to be bullish, folks. Maybe from the view from Germany. Here we go. Look, they're printing through the RXT 1475. Benny, I didn't say it was going to close lower. Come on, man. I never said that. I said it had to take out 820 to close lower, and it hasn't done that. Come on, man. Pay attention. I love you guys. All right. Yeah, so we printed yeah, it's down 2 handles since you said that. How funny. All right, there we go. 11s. Yeah, Benny, it's all cool, man. Listen, this is a real-time analysis. I'm just looking at the charts, trying to figure out what's going to happen into the close. We have to take out 820 and then 550. Those are 2 numbers I clearly stated. So that's we haven't got a trigger. We still have 3.5 minutes to go. Yeah, we will have to go through the tape, no doubt. Hey Jen, thanks for that. Trust me, when you get to be 68 years old, you gotta work on the energy. Yeah, this thing just wants to go nowhere. Like I said, we're gonna know more about today's action after the close. If we see some liquidation and maybe the futures drop off 4 or 5 points, we'll see where if the machines are long, like I think they are, and this bid is real, then we'll see if they're willing to sell them after the close. Yeah, Trish, you're welcome. I love doing these actually. Yeah, just remember, if you want to support the channel, you can do a couple things. Hit the like button, subscribe, or you can go and check out WaveTech at kendallreport.com/WaveTech, and that's TECH, and you can sign up for the platform. We're not quite mid-month. It's $3.12 a day, and there's a lot of stuff that we're doing. So here we go. We're trading back to 10s. Key numbers 820, 0820, 825, I guess, and then 550 is the other number. So we're seeing a little selling as we come in. We got 1.5 minutes to go. This was always my favorite time of the day, is on the trading floor. There was a 2-minute bell, then a 1-minute bell, and then the final bell. There we go. Print 9s. Nine even. Final minute, folks. Here we go. Will there be liquidation or buying? Nine even's been the print low so far. So we print back to 11. So the range so far, 1150 to 9 even on the close. Here we go, back at 9s, 875 prints, 850, 825. We've taken out the 820 number now. Getting some pretty good liquidation. Final ticks 06. So hey Ben, what do you think, man? All right, so we printed down as low as 05 even on the close. No, the data is real time. It's the delay on YouTube, I think, that you're seeing. Yeah, so we do another minute or two. I'll do a couple stocks. We'll finish out with some stuff and go from there. Hey folks, thanks a lot for hanging out, man. This is really cool stuff. I mean, we looks like we maintain around 1,000 viewers through the show. So that's very cool to get to have that many people watching. It's a lot of fun, brings up a lot of energy. I will admit it's not the biggest crowd I've ever had, but it's a good crowd. So one day we'll get it up there. I used to be on the Squawk Box at a major firm, and we'd have thousands of people on the Squawk Box every day. So that was always fun. Yeah, really, only 315 likes. Yeah. Go ahead and smash that like button before you go, and subscribe. Let's you know, just, I don't know, less than 10 days ago we were below 20,000 subscribers. Now we're 23, so let's move it to 25. It's got to help me get one of those silver buttons from YouTube, 100,000. Yeah, man, I haven't heard Glow for a long time. That was a big .com stock, right? So here we are at 0650. The low has been that 5 even on the print on the close. We're not really seeing a lot of activity either way here. Sometimes, like by the time we get to this point, this is the second minute that we have this. Something's gonna be revealed. Nothing was revealed. I just got the Yahoo badge telling me that the Dow Jones gains 530 points. So you know, today was one of those classics where you have a reversal bar yesterday and you reverse the reverse, and those happen. And on our portfolio website, portfolio expert website, there's a video on there called FOMO. And that FOMO video is it's interesting because one of the things that we did a big research effort a number of years ago, and we found that the big up days and the big down days are clustered together. And you'll see when volatility kicks up, the volatility is going back and forth on a regular basis. The higher the activity, more likely you have a big down day. The next day is going to be a big up day, and not that often do you get multiple 2 or 3 days. And that's why that 3-day trade that I've talked about is important to understand, because when you get a reversal and you get the second day to close lower, it'll usually go at least 2 more. And those are monster trades when they happen. And it triggered on Apple pretty good. We didn't get the higher opening on Apple, you know, back in September, but it was still a good trade. We got some really good follow through. Today was one of those, and I saw it when I was doing, as I do my research. I told you folks before, I have I set up all my research every night. I literally, this market closes, I get done with you folks, I'm gonna be working on errors in the market grid, finding out what happened there, and other things doing. I shut this stuff off, and you have to be able to walk away from these markets. I've been doing this a long time, and you have to be able to walk with it. Darshan, I would, man, I'd like to cover like 40 markets every night. What happens a lot of times is I've got the suite right now is the S&P, Nasdaq, dollar, gold. It's really hard for me to do that. Believe it or not, if any of you have ever made a video, a 5-minute video takes about 25 minutes to edit. So a 5-minute section is another 25 minutes of production time of post production. It's very tedious work. I actually film all my videos. I edit all the videos. I do all the posts. I do everything. So it's about a 3-hour effort every night, and it's a lot of work. And if it wasn't for, you guys have seen this before, the Runa. Last time I can have one of these about 9 o'clock at night and still get to bed. It didn't work real good last night. I think I didn't get to sleep until about 3 a.m., 6 a.m. New York time. So that's just the way last night went. But anyway, yeah. So here we are just watching this futures trade. We're down to 5. Looks like we're 525. They want to trade 5 even again. I don't know if we'll get some liquidation under 5 even. But it's very quiet. So this is, a pretty stable situation. I guess if there's any news out between now and when this session closes and we reopen, that maybe there's some, here's 5 even. So this is the low of this pattern so far, is 5 even. There goes 450, 425. So we are seeing some additional selling starting to come in. It's just tea. By the way, there's no additives. That's really cool about this. Yeah, it's just tea. I used to drink Rockstar. That's really bad for you. It's not an energy drink. Just caffeine. Just a different type of caffeine. And sometimes I do overdo it, but yeah, just real quick, I see some questions coming through here. How do I think Q4 is going to head out? I still think we're going to be locked in a monster trading range. I'm not sure that we're going to see any of the monster sell-offs and things are happening. The big debate is, I have to tell you, I'll just say I don't know who wins the election, but this is probably going to be the most interesting one for a long time, I would say. Yeah, I guess best way to find expectation for tomorrow is watch tonight's video. I will shut down. I try to detach myself from all of these crazy markets and emotions, especially after spending 2.5 hours talking pretty much constantly and covering things. Yeah, I think it does matter who wins, Gino. I really do. But as far as the outcome, we'll see. Biden wins, you got higher taxes, more regulation, maybe monster spending. So there'll be areas that'll do well because maybe they'll call the Fed up, tell them to. I think the funniest tweet that I saw back in March and April sometime was somebody said, "How does the Fed create $4 trillion?" And somebody said, "Open up spreadsheet, add zeros, hit save, close spreadsheet." And that's exactly what happens. I saw a really interesting clip, and I'll never see it again, I guess, but it was Ben Bernanke back in 2008 that basically admitted that's what they do. They just create money out of thin air. So it's, and when they do that, we can get a lot. I think longer term, by the way, let's close out here. The longer term is that this market goes a lot higher. Next 6-8 months, and maybe it doesn't matter who wins, but for whatever the technicals, looking at our models, the potential and probabilities for the trend to consolidate, like I think it will probably for the next several weeks, maybe through year end, that we'll start to see this market move a lot higher. A lot of it has to do with the printing of capital that the Fed did, and we will see stimulus and other things. And here will probably be the thing. If COVID doesn't kick up, if there's no second wave, third wave, whatever you want to call it, and then that's probably going to be very bullish as well. And the economy is still shut down. A lot of the economy shut down. New York, California, Pennsylvania, Michigan. There's a lot of big markets, a lot of people around those markets that are shut down. So anyway. Yeah, Richard Werner was talking about that. I'm just looking at some comments here. Yeah, is there no bubble? I don't know. There was a guy on Twitter I used to follow, and that his whole narrative, it's a bubble. He must have been so excited in February only to see the bubble fill back up so quickly. Had to be depressing. Try not to get into themes that this is what I think is going to happen. I'm very flexible, always have been. I'm data driven. I'm not sentiment driven. I don't fantasize about second waves of COVID. That will show up in the data if those things happen. And right now, the intermediate charts are not saying any of that stuff. And you have to understand that what I'm showing you folks, I didn't start doing this yesterday. The database has been in my life since 1990, I guess technically 97, 98. So this is 22 years. I live and breathe this thing every day. And we also have, over the years, have actually managed with the software that we have over just about $250 billion, actually a little bit over that, about $275 billion of money has went through our software. So yeah, this is real stuff. This is not a hype channel. This is me talking to you folks, telling you all the experience and things that I've done. So I appreciate everybody watching. So at this phase, yeah, it's funny. Stop asking. Andrew Yang. It's interesting. He is one of the things that Andrew Yang talks about is the being adaptive, and that's what our software is. We actually, if you go to portfolioexpert.com and you look at that, we do something beyond what I would actually like to meet him, because what we have built in our software on Portfolio Expert, and let me bring that up. This platform here actually has the ability to generate what we call dynamic indexing. And one of the things Andrew Yang talks about is, let me just bring up something here. So this is a dynamic index of clean energy stocks that came from somebody that we use called First Bridge to locate the constituent list of some ETFs. And this is the track record in trading of the platform. You can see the big dip in this year, the big spike, and then the recovery. But this is a dynamic indexing, and not only that, a multivariant view of how the world works. So we're trading symbols on a daily basis, weekly, and a intermediate basis all at one time. So if we go here go to year to date, I can actually put over here and put the S&P on here. The S&P is the green line down at the bottom, and the this clean energy ETF. So we basically took ETFs and we restructured them, and we structured them into a multivariant view of trading, which means that we are trading the same stock multiple times on different timelines, we're utilizing the same basic logic that we do, but in the end, what we can do is we can rotate all of these symbols. So if I show you one last thing, since I'm on this run, this is the actual transaction log from this portfolio. Every 100%, these are model buys and sells, reallocations. There's all types of things that go on with this, and these are the symbols. And this is also including taking out management fees of 1.25% on an annual basis. So this is actually net of fees. So if this was a mutual fund, it would be the case. If I take the fees out, this thing goes through the roof. And that's what the beauty of this for individuals to use this product will give them the ability to eliminate the fees, which automatically gets you to have an edge, because ultimately, if you go to a casino and gamble, you know how they're taking those commissions all the time. If you're sitting playing blackjack or whatever you're playing, they're taking their commissions. And do you even know how much they took or why they took it? You know, it's like, but what those commissions do is they slant the odds to the house, meaning that the casino knows they're going to win. If they keep taking little bits and pieces off, they're changing the odds of the game. And obviously some people are going to win, but on balance, they're going to end up winning because of that commission. So when you add a load in on anything, whether it's a mutual fund, ETF, all of that stuff is actually changing the odds to the house, otherwise raising the odds that you're likely to lose. So when we talk about, I talk about day-to-day looking at S&P and all the stuff that we did today. This is a quantitative modeling platform that can literally model thousands of symbols within the same portfolio if you wanted to. We actually have a portfolio that runs all 500 symbols on the database. But the point of this is that when you can do this, and this little run right here, these reallocation cells, we're rebalancing. There's all kinds of things that go on. There's some real serious dynamics that go in when you're running a quant portfolio like this. And that's why in the end, you end up with a 88.349% returns this year. And when you look at it long term, you can see it's up. If I go up here and go 10 years out, this thing's up 1,400%. And you can't do that. You and I can't do this manually. It's impossible, because we can't trade and map and do all these reallocations and all that stuff. So yeah, let's see here. Yeah, and I do love Kathy Wood. I want to meet her. I really do. I need to figure out how to make that happen. I think there's things I can help Kathy Wood do better, actually, on a management, on some of the management stuff they're doing. I've looked at what they're doing. Yeah, I have to, Ron Paul. I see some conversation going on Ron Paul. Yeah, I agree. He's a true libertarian, and yeah, I definitely like Paul as well. He's unfortunately past his time, and 12 was his last real chance, and even then that was questionable. Jeffrey Wu can use software scalping options, not this platform, but when we get everything done on TradeStation, you'll definitely be able to do that. Yeah, it's really interesting. I don't know if you guys have been watching Ray Dalio though. I used to be a huge Dalio. I like Dalio as much as I don't like Buffett. Okay, from the if I Buffett's at a number 9 I don't like, and Dalio was a number 9, and I was so impressed with the guy. I had a friend that used to work for Dalio and everything, and he was so much better when he wasn't a mouthpiece for the globalists, when he was just trading and I could look at his performance. Now, like I said, I get irritated watching his little Bloomberg interviews. And anyway, I'm going to put this out. I actually did this a while ago, but it might still be relevant. I have to look at it. But I actually did a mock interview. Instead of Ray Dalio talking, I put me in the talking to the interviewer. I thought it was kind of cute. I've had a couple of people look at it. Some people said don't show it. I thought it was interesting. It's like, if I was asked that question, how would I answer it? And it would be almost maybe even more interesting. I left Ray in there and commented, maybe rebutted to Ray. Maybe that would have been an interesting. Yeah, yeah. I just, you know, it's such a shame because he was an idol of mine for Bridgewater and everything he did. And like I said, I had a friend that worked there that been a long time ago, back in the 90s, but nonetheless, I had a view into the operation. It was very impressive, and his returns, everything, since he's been a mouthpiece and writing books, and he's trying to help us and talk to all of us little people. It's just really irritating to me. So anyway, yeah, that's probably a good idea. Put it on the Facebook account. If you guys don't know about it, we have a Facebook group, and it's Facebook/groups plural /the Kendall Report, and you can submit, you can join. We'll review you and go from there. Yeah, Dalio was right. Cash is trash. Well, I don't know. We don't have any cash. We're mostly on an intermediate basis. We're mostly invested, but I don't know. Actually, he keeps going on about that, but cash is one of the best things that I've had. In 2008, cash was awesome. It's how long you hold cash. It's you know Ray speaks too broadly of that. I've seen some of this stuff where he's talking about why you want to do it, and he's very pro China. He would, the yuan would be, the renminbi would be the world currency if it was up to Ray Dalio. So it's pretty obvious. But yeah, but cash is not trash. Cash is good to have at times. It balances beta. It does a lot of things, and yeah, like for instance on. See, do I have it here? Yeah. So on this particular portfolio I'm showing right now, 87% of the cash is invested. We have 12.49% in this portfolio, but it goes from full up and it shrinks. It's like a balloon. It's blowing up and shrinking all the time. And this is stuff that, like I said, you can't even come up to do it. There's just hundreds. If I bring back this trade log, there's just hundreds of transactions here going on all the time, and they're doing it on daily, weekly. See monthly trades. Most of the activity is daily, weekly, and then so we're actually trading the market using short-term, intermediate, and secular trends to make decisions. So it ends up, when you do a portfolio like this, you have a core position. So I know there's some stocks that we held from 2011 all the way up to this year on a secular basis. So we stayed with those trades for 9 years. But meanwhile, these daily and weeklies were in and out. So we keep changing the exposure. We have a minimum core exposure on the secular, and then when the daily comes in, gets a little bigger, weekly kicks in, it's a full position. And that position is shrinking and growing. And sometimes we saw early this year where we were out of a lot of trades, but then the short term kicked in. We bought a lot of things in March 26th to April 10th. Was a lot of buying in our system on a short term level. So we filled up the bin. Then we got intermediate trades, and I think I've even seen some secular trades come back on recently. But when you're able to trade at this level, you can only do it through a quantitative environment like this. There's no way you can do this. You and I can emulate this. And this is trading a handful of stocks, like 10 stocks. So it's trading it's got 27 trading systems in there, but that's divided by 3. So anyway, all right, folks, it is now 1:26. I kind of went on a little ramble, but yeah, let's see. Yeah, best way is to sign up for software. We're going to release this software to you folks, and I'm working on the final mechanisms which to do that. And there's going to be an initial offering and all that stuff. Okay, let's see here. All right, folks, I think that's going to be it. We're going to go ahead and sign out. Have a great day. I'll do a video tonight. You'll know everything. The best way is to watch the channel, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when I come live and do all these things. Thanks again for watching.